Our next two guests have been able to combine the work of 100 years into about 15 minutes. And they've done it, I think, in a way that's informative but humorous. And please, believe me, you are allowed to laugh. So enjoy the performance that we're going to see. Please welcome from St. Maggie Productions, local actors Nicole Granger and Justin DeVoe. Our actors, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, Nicole.
Hey, Justin. Can you believe we're here celebrating ALES' 100th anniversary?
That's why we're here? Oh, man, I have this whole thing written up for the Faculty of Drama. You know, it's fine. It's fine. I'll just change the word theater to the word farming. That's going to work, right?
But ALES isn't just about farming, Justin. It's like, well, it's kind of like a personality disorder. It's forestry and nutrition and personal and community well-being, the environment, resource development, and social science all rolled into one place. But really, it's about people with vision who've come together throughout 100 years, creating, building, and discovering ways to improve the lives of humanity.
It all started in 1908 with Henry Marshall Torrey's vision. Now, he believed a couple of radical things. One, agriculture, crazy important to the economy.
And two, that women should get an education just like the men. To give you an idea of how radically ahead of his time he was, let's fast forward to 1974. That's when the government of Alberta hired the first female district agriculturalist, even though Hank Torrey had been ensuring their education for over 60 years. Well, he was absolutely instrumental in founding home economics education, one of the three foundational pillars of the faculty as we know it today.
But we are getting ahead of ourselves, so let's rewind.
Oh, right.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Justin. What is that?
That would be World War I. Now, the Faculty of Agriculture, as it was called when it was established in 1915, was under the leadership of Dean Ernest Albert Howes. Now, the world was at war. Casualty numbers were devastating. So the faculty was founded with only 2 staff members and 16 students, as much of our population had left to join the war effort.
484 of the university's students and staff were gone. 1 in 6 died, and double that amount were wounded. But here, Alberta was looking towards the future. Dean Howes traveled to Ottawa and convinced federal officials to pay tuition for the returning soldiers. And it turns out Canada did just that.
Now, in the book, A Century of Solutions,
wait.
available now outside at the very low and reasonable price of $20.
GST included.
Now, it is written that learning better methods to produce a food source must have seemed a hopeful and even overly optimistic activity. But I think one of humanity's greatest strengths is our stubborn insistence in engaging in hopeful and even overly optimistic activities.
It was, in fact, our hope, optimism, and insistence on providing solutions that led to this university's earliest successes, such as
Dean Howe's pamphlet, Applying Science to Agriculture, which was instrumental in spreading his radical philosophy out to the youth in rural areas.
Howe understood that reaching out to the youth would engender change the most quickly. He knew you needed to apply scientific principle to agriculture to make it sustainable, but he also knew that it would be a really tough sell to the older farmers.
Exactly. So he got sneaky. He knew that if he could corner the kids while they were young and impressionable, he could mold them to his way of thinking.
Justin, I think what you mean to say is that a younger mind is more flexible and adaptable and easier at seeing the possibilities of science bringing about a brighter future, right?
Yeah, potato, potato. Where was I? Yeah, right. So another early success was the faculty increasing the role of research in conducting soil surveys.
Ooh, the addition of the home economics program in 1918 further encouraged women scholars.
Well, the animal husbandry's research program led to cattle that won over 50 championships between 1922 and 1955. So,
You're so competitive.
Yeah. Oh, and, of course, introducing Canada to the first bad boy of agriculture, the Indiana Jones of the prairies, E.H. Strickland. Huh?
Pardon me?
E.H. Strickland, the faculty's first professor of entomology. Yeah, who, in 1922, led the effort to control the grasshoppers that were destroying all of the crops in Western Canada. He spent $248,000 on this effort.
Now, in today's dollar, that's over $3 million. This grabbed the attention of the Public Expenses Committee, who dragged him in front of the legislature to explain this misappropriation of funds.
He shut them up by pointing out that all the crops in Montana and Saskatchewan were destroyed, while those in Alberta were not. See, Nicole? Rock star.
Ah, but he wasn't the only star of the 20s. In 1923, Sheila Marriott became our first woman to graduate from the faculty.
She went on to work for CKUA when it hit the airwaves in 1927.
CKUA had shows like the Farmers Forum and the Homemakers Hour. The head of the Home Economics program, Mabel Patrick, oversaw the Homemakers Hour. Now, she was the director of household economics from 1918 to 1956. That's 38 years. I am never going to hold a job that long.
You're only holding this one for 20 minutes.
By the end of the 20s, science and farming were yielding results. The Breton plots showed increased crop production as much as 5 times the yield of previous years.
For those of you who slept through your econ classes, yield equals money.
The 1930s did bring about the Great Depression, but still, the university grew.
It was now so large that there was no longer room on the campus to farm.
So they moved to their new location, what we call today the South Campus. Oh,
Not again.
World War II. The halls, the residences,
Even the ice rink.
were taken over by the Air Force to house the No. 4 Initial Training School.
New buildings were erected to meet the spatial requirements.
And by 1945, the faculty had its largest enrollment in history and consisted of 6 departments.
Plant science, animal science, soils, agricultural engineering, dairying, and entomology.
Government programs helped and encouraged the veterans to return to the university.
With a new mix of mature and younger students, the faculty's spirit of fun and camaraderie thrived.
Yes, the creation of the first Bar None event in 1948 brought all the faculties together. This was the first time in the university's history that one event would open its door to every person on campus, regardless of their field of study, thus barring none from participating.
Even their arch nemesis, the engineers, were invited.
Arch nemesis? Don't you think that's a little melodramatic?
Oh, no. Check this out. Right, so the Aggies dumped tractors full of manure on the steps of the engineering building.
Ah, so the engineers put some methyl mercaptan on the tiles inside the agricultural building.
P.U. Who knew engineers could be so smelly?
Now, unlike manure, that stench lasted several weeks, but I think my personal favorite is when the Aggies treated pigeons with castor oil and just set them off into the engineer dance. Poop!
It's disgusting. I'm starting to feel sorry for the engineers.
Didn't you used to date an engineer?
Yeah.
So don't you want revenge?
Like when the Ags doused hay bales with water in the middle of winter and blocked the engineering doors.
Just like that. Now, rumor has it, it took 3 days to chip that apart. Now, you Aggies wouldn't happen to know who was responsible, would you?
Oh, don't answer that. It will actually cost you your degree. So, but despite all of the pranks, the Bar None is a tradition that continues to this day.
Another Alberta tradition is our world-famous beef.
Yeah.
And I am not talking about our first irrigation survey crew either. Thank you, yes.
Oh, the ones with the hooves.
It's thanks to Dr. Roy Berg that we are where we are today.
Yes, the ranchers used to believe, but only by keeping the bloodlines pure would the best beef be bred.
And if any of you are familiar with the inbreeding in the royal families, well, you know how well that theory works out.
So, Roy Berg decided to start crossbreeding the cattle.
They called his cows mongrels, Berg's bastards. They thought he was crazy.
It took him over a decade to change the attitudes of the cattle ranchers in this province. In fact, the cattle industry tried to have him fired from the university and even went so far as to demand action from the government.
But once he could show that his cattle increased in productivity by 30 to 40%, people got on board.
In fact, his methods have become the norm for breeding.
The faculty received international recognition, and Alberta beef is now the gold standard.
But ALES is not just about livestock. 1961 brought us the Department of Resource Economics and Farm Management.
Now, this brought a whole dimension of economics and eventually sociology into the faculty, and gave us the ability to look at issues from a more comprehensive and holistic way.
They celebrated their 50th birthday in 2011.
Well, they don't look a day over 29.
Oh, Justin, I just looked at my watch, and if you look over there, there are really weird cosplay animals staring at us. So, they've got cake. Cake. Let's Reader's Digest this.
Oh, okay, sure. All right, step forward to 1972, when the Clothing and Textiles collection was founded.
This is the largest collection of its kind on a Canadian university campus.
With over 23,000 items. That is a lot of pants.
Elizabeth Empey was the last director of the School of Home Economics. She oversaw its transition into a standalone faculty in 1976.
Now, I don't know if she bribed her students with candy or what, but she not just doubled her faculty, she didn't even just triple the number of students she had. She increased it by a factor of 6. And I'm not a mathematician, but that's big.
Today, the Department of Home Economics, now called Human Ecology, is still forwarding research regarding steam protective and fire retardant clothing. This saves lives both in our homes and in the workplace.
The faculty is constantly expanding and diversifying itself, such as
The Department of Forest Sciences, being created in 1971.
or Dr. Clendinen's nutritional research.
Now, he's the guy who made the link between omega-3 fatty acids and proper brain development in children.
This greatly improved baby formula.
And explains why your son is smarter than you.
Anyway, the Devonian Gardens, which opened to the public in 1980.
Oh, and the campus expanded with a new agriculture and forestry building in 1981.
1986 brought the Poultry Research Center, but 1993 brought the merger of the Faculty of Agriculture and Forestry with the Faculty of Home Economics to form the Faculty of Agriculture, Forestry, and Home Economics. The 90s, the decline years.
Educational funding was cut, hacked, slashed, and obliterated in our province. Klein had the university squeezed so tightly that mergers were occurring everywhere.
But there was one good thing that came out of it.
What was that?
Oh, with all those cuts to education, people couldn't get any smarter. We all just got dumber, which primed the way for reality television. Thanks, Ralph. Don't know where I'd be without my So You Thinking and Honey Boo Boo Survivor idol.
You're an idiot.
Nope, just a product of my environment.
Well, why don't we get back to the positives? There was the opening of the Swine Research Unit and the sale
At a fraction of the market price.
of 800 acres of farmland from the Bocock family for crop research.
The creation of the Rangelands Ranch Institute on a 12,000-acre ranch that was donated to the university by the Mathias family.
You know, this province really owes the faculty a debt of gratitude. The research has saved economy and the lives of Canadians on countless occasions.
Remember how Strickland saved us from the grasshoppers?
Well, in 1980, there was a new plague called blackleg, and it was infesting our canola crops.
It was so insidious that it was virtually killing all of the canola in Western Canada.
Now, when you consider that canola contributes $19.3 billion to the Canadian economy, and a third of that, $6.1 billion, is right here from Alberta, the loss of that crop would have crippled us.
Fortunately, the university had Dr. Gary Stringham. His quantum canola was resistant to blackleg and essentially saved the industry.
Oh, and we're not myopic either.
We cooperate on the international stage. We recognize that we live in a global community that must be sustained.
One recent international project was between ALES and India's MS Swaminathan Research Foundation. It sought to alleviate poverty and malnutrition in 3 rural areas in India.
Now, this is really cool because there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution to these problems. I mean, these researchers have to think 4-dimensionally.
Ooh, then of course there is our cutting-edge bioresource innovations.
The faculty is taking agricultural residues such as beef tallow, crop seed oil, even restaurant grease, and converting them into drop-in fuels that are interchangeable with petroleum-based products.
You're telling me I can take the grease off my hamburger helper and drop it into my gas tank?
Yeah.
Don't tell Syncrude.
She's better.
Oh, wait.
Sorry, we can't have you remember that information.
So sorry. Terribly sorry. We were becoming so friendly.
That'll do it.
Well, that takes care of that.
Yeah, no, really won't remember a thing. Let's talk about something safe.
Safe?
Not oil related.
Well, what about genetically modified food research?
Yeah. Did you know that Canada is the largest producer of peas in the world?
Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, 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 indeed.
They paid us $20,000 to put that in there.
Yeah.
And did you know that this faculty is the one doing research into transgenic crops to strengthen peas' ability to survive disease?
You want to talk about the future?
There's a 100-year forestry research project happening right now.
Yeah, EMAND, that stands for Ecosystem Management by Emulating Natural Disturbances. Say that 10 times fast. Basically, its prime directive is to answer the question, how do you harvest an area and ensure that its original ecosystem stays intact?
It's a little over 10 years into the project, but the research is already changing the way some forestry companies operate.
Yes, in fact, this project could help Alberta have its cake and eat it too. Imagine if we could harvest our wood resources but still maintain the ecology. This is mind-blowing stuff, people.
Yeah. I can't wait till the next centennial to hear the results.
You're a burden to me, Justin. Oh, speaking of burden, or overburden, see how I did that?
No.
Clever. There was a land reclamation project that compelled the Alberta government to make it mandatory that oil companies return the top layer of soil to the mined areas in their reclamation projects.
Now, it feels like a bit of magic, but just by returning that topsoil, it can cause the boreal forest to renew itself.
Environmental regulations are not the only ones that have been affected by ALES. It was family gerontologist Nora Keating's research that led to a fundamental shift in the federal government's policy towards the spouses of veterans.
Now, veteran programs were great. They provided a lot of benefits for the vets and care benefits, but if they died or were put in a nursing home, assistance vanished for the spouse.
Now, can you imagine how terrible that would be after having dedicated years of your life to someone, to suddenly to be forced to leave your own home because the assistance that you relied upon had been taken away from you?
It's more than unfair.
Well, Keating thought so too, and it was her influence and research that was a large part of why the federal government changed the rules.
Spouses now receive the same level of benefits.
Now, we could never tell you everything that this faculty has done over the course of 100 years. The achievements have been staggering and of global effect. Today, the faculty has 1,600 undergrads, 500 graduate students, and...
We're running out of time. What about my song?
Your what?
I wrote a song. Come on, I spent weeks coming up with rhymes for agricultural.
He really did, you know. It drove me nuts. Sing along! We have the words.
I didn't write the music. This is a popular song.
Very popular. It's hip. Okay.
With Dean House, it all began in matters agricultural. In 1918, classes made households more economical.
First 10 grads with caps and gowns are proudly ceremony. What?
You're not singing along. They stopped because you weren't singing along.
Sing, my Aggies of music.
We're just going to keep going until you guys sing along.
Trust us, we will. We have no social meter.
With Dean House, it all began in matters agricultural. In 1918, classes made households more economical.
First 10 grads with caps and gowns are proudly ceremonial. FAY, its department is all things horticultural.
Strickland fought a war against all things entomological. The grasshoppers ate everything, it was a fight historical.
He took the risk and spent the dough and saved our landscape fair and square. While Saskatchewan and Montana were eaten up and all laid bare.
Saskatchewan and Montana were eaten up and all laid bare. Saskatchewan and Montana were eaten up and all laid bare. Saskatchewan and Montana were eaten up and all laid bare. The first fair female graduate occurred in 1923, and soon came our new radio CKU waste out frequency.
From coast to coast and sea to sea
In Canada and globally, we are the very model of a modern major faculty. Normally this is done on a boat.
Yes! No, that's HMS Pinafore.
Right.
of a modern major faculty. We handle information theoretically and practically.
We don't go in for very much of literature or heraldry, but every farmer far and wide admires our fine poultry. Huh?
Yeah? We're very well acquainted too with matters of the forestry. We comprehend the consequences so environmentally.
In matters organizational, we are rather volatile. If our close collection has mislabeled all the textiles.
If our close collection has mislabeled all the textiles.
If our close collection has mislabeled all the textiles. If our close collection has mislabeled all the textiles.
Our professors are teeming with facts of great profundity, from ecology, topsoil, and the art of old school husbandry.
From coast to coast and sea to sea.
In Canada and globally, we are the very model of a modern major faculty.
It's a hornpipe.
Oh, are we hornpiping?
I think that's what it's called.
Serious.
Now here we are. We've traveled through the progress of a century. Our course is strong, and we can see the path of our trajectory.
We fill our students full of facts to test their long-term memory. And if they listen, hopefully, they won't be forced to beggary.
Now, with the future quite as clear as a window we are looking through, we hope that we have moved you all to see it from our point of view.
And if not, there is but one more thing that you will have to do. From light and dark and golden hue, we have ales for all of you.
Light and dark and golden hue, we have ales for all of you.
From light and dark and golden hue, we have ales for all of you. From light and dark and golden hue, we have ales for all of you. Oh,
We only bought two.
who needs a drink?
We're here to celebrate today the achievements of a century. The future is as bright as all you strive and her dream for it to be.
From coast to coast and sea to sea, in Canada and globally, we are the very model of a modern major faculty. You know what? Let's eat cake!
Yeah!
Yeah!
Want a beer, Kim? I don't think. There you go.
Anyone want a beer?
Not a twist. Need a bottle opener.
You want a beer?
We're going to invite out Gooba and Patches. And we have Mr. Keith, the graduate of our 1943 class and one of our fourth-year students, to help us cut the cake. We will cut that cake, and then you are all very welcome to join us in Dinwoody for healthy snacks and, yes, a few of those cake pops as well. So thank you for joining us. We'll do a little bit of the cutting of the cake here, and we look forward to seeing you at the reception. Thank you very much for attending.